I'm Josiah Rizzo.
I'm Benji Jones.
And on Wednesdays, we wear pink. When was the first time you guys realized that there was something dirty in each Disney film?
Last year.
Wait, really?
No.
I was like, you knew about it beforehand,
It was probably
right?
like middle school.
Middle school?
I think so. Middle school is when I was told about the
Well, middle school is when you were discovering
Little
Disney
Mermaid.
films, right?
No, I grew up on Disney films.
So-
I grew up
Well,
on
no,
Disney
they don't
films.
have Disney unless you're in America, right? That's like a thing.
That is not a
I
thing.
just, for some
wait,
reason...
wait.
everywhere.
Where are you from again?
I'm from Guatemala.
So, if you're from Guatemala, why are you white?
Oh my God, Benji, you can't just ask people why they're white.
I actually get that a lot, not just from that.
I think we found our opening.
Well, all right. So on that note, I'm Josiah Rizzo.
I'm Benji Jones.
And I'm Chris Lubeck.
And on Wednesdays, we wear pink. This is a pop culture podcast where we discuss our personal experiences with film and media
and everything in between.
and the impact it's left on our generation or is leaving on our generation.
Yeah, today we have Chris Lubeck with
That's
us,
me.
and we will be discussing Aladdin.
Aladdin. But for real though, I remember I was at I don't remember if you guys know this, but it's 5th episode now. So we
5th episode, you guys.
Oh my god.
5th episode, 2nd week. So thank you guys for tuning in for a 2nd week. We really appreciate it. But if you had been listening, you'll know that I was homeschooled. And Christopher,
I was also homeschooled.
you were
yes.
homeschooled. When did you move out here to America?
When I was 9 years old.
9 years old. And you did grow up watching Disney films?
Oh yeah, my first Disney film, I believe, was Snow White. That was a
Interesting. That
classic
was
one.
also Disney's first Disney film.
It was also Disney's, yes, but it was
I don't think anything dirty's in Snow White that I've
I
seen.
can remember now. But the first dirty thing I found out about Disney was the Little Mermaid
Penis on the cover of the-
cover. Yeah, we had that cover.
I remember I was homeschooled, and it was the year that I first joined the youth group. And like the first thing I did with them was go to camp. And at camp, oh God, this is a whole story. But at camp,
Well, I'm going to need you to cut that shit down.
I was at
Okay.
this church camp, and the pastor was on stage, and he literally it was like doom and gloom, like sex, drugs,
Rock and roll.
Insane Clown Posse. Insane Clown Posse. They literally like showed Juggalo videos and were like, these people are going to hell.
Well, no, it's like those like revivals where people come in
God,
and they're
it
like,
was-
the music industry is all
Yeah.
the devil, and they're like,
Well,
come bring your CDs and let's burn them.
That's what I got. That's what I got. Like a whole earful of that, and I learned everything that night. I learned I learned all the sexual stuff I didn't need to learn, at least in that matter, with someone shouting at me angrily. So the next day I was a little shook. And then someone was like, oh, by the way, there's like a penis on the cover of The Little Mermaid.
And you were just like, this world is broken.
But that was my experience. And because like for me, I remember there's the thing in Aladdin with the whole, what is it? There's the
Good teenagers, take off your clothes.
good teenagers take out your clothes. And then he says F a mouse, which, I mean, it's debatable whether or not he actually says any
Okay,
of those
I didn't
things.
know about that one.
I didn't either.
I knew about the penises on the Little Mermaid cover
Yes.
and the,
in the movie.
Yeah.
in the movie.
Well, the priest gets a little boner.
Oh yeah.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
the
Little
boner,
Mermaid,
the
yeah.
priest boner.
That's obvious.
which was like a little thing that you notice if you are told about it.
It was a little thing.
Yeah, it didn't make much of a bulge. And then the thing from Lion King. Where
Oh yeah, the SFX thing, or where it says sex.
Yeah,
when
which
he,
is like
plops
okay.
down and-
Yeah.
But and then even worse was in the Rescuers, not the Down Under one.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Rescuers, they have like
where they have
actual
the
naked lady.
Yeah.
What's funny is that I've seen the Rescuers Down Under like 7 times, and I've never seen the Rescuers.
You're not missing anything.
But it's also not even because I don't know if we've talked about this on here, but my mom has the thing that she does
Where
she
she buys the
only
sequels.
buys sequels.
You have
to
never
things.
mentioned it, but I'm glad you finally have mentioned that. That's
Yeah,
okay.
she's like, and so like Jurassic Park, like The Lost World, I thought was the first Jurassic Park for years and years. Like I was in high school when I saw the first Jurassic Park again, and I was like, wait, is this like the same world as the other one? And they're like, yeah, this is the first one. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that, like so many things. So like, but it wasn't even because of that I only saw Rescuers Down Under. For some reason, that's the only one they ever showed at school.
Yeah, well, it's
So,
the good one.
Yeah.
Rescues Down Under is far superior than the first one.
I bring that up because today we are talking about Aladdin.
Actually, both Aladdin movies. We're going to be talking about the 1992 version that all of us obviously grew up with.
Oh, yeah.
And the newest 2019 version that our kids are going to grow up with. So,
So sad, yeah.
Okay, well, all right. Before we get into our thoughts about the original movie,
Oh, yeah.
it came out in theaters November 25th, 1992. It was directed by Ron Clements and John Musker. It was based on Aladdin and the Magic Lamp from 1001 Nights, as well as borrowed heavily from the 1940s film Thief of Baghdad.
Which I had never even heard of.
Yeah, no
So-
one's heard of.
So no one has heard. So Christopher, the reason we invited you on the show, other than being one of our best friends, roommate, and
would
you
hope
would
so.
kill us if we didn't invite you onto the show.
I wouldn't kill you. I would just be very disappointed.
He wouldn't. I would kill you.
You're the
He
petty
would.
one. Christopher is way too forgiving. He'd just be like,
It's okay, guys. My heart's only a little bit broken.
But the reason we didn't invite you is because, like, as much it is for us, we know that Aladdin is.
It's one of my favorites.
Do you want to tell us just your what you felt or how you feel about like the original Aladdin?
Growing up, it sparked a lot of imagination in me because I grew up in Guatemala and we moved to the States when I was 9. And it was just me and my 2 younger brothers. And growing up, we just had our imaginations in a backyard and some cool sticks.
It's like a lot of fun, actually. Those kids nowadays, they'll never know imagination the way we knew.
Those kids nowadays have got it so good.
Benji, you're-
Not being forced to go outside.
But yeah, so you grew up in Guatemala. You loved the original.
Aladdin was one of the first like animated films I saw Robin Williams in. I still haven't even seen Fern Gully.
You haven't seen
really?
Fern
I
Gully?
have not.
I've only
wanted
seen the second Fern Gully.
Wait,
did we get
Cheryl Jones,
have that.
I need you to get your stuff together and start buying the first film.
Trust me, I've been trying for 20-something years to tell her that. It hasn't.
Mama
stopped.
Jones. So were you aware of just like actors like Robin Williams even out in Guatemala?
Well, actually, the thing is, growing up, before we moved to the States, I thought those were real people. Like no live
Wait,
action,
really?
like the live action movies. I grew up thinking those are real people. We're just seeing their stories.
Yeah, so you thought it was like documentaries?
I thought
or
they
you
were like
that's-
documentaries.
You thought it was
yeah.
like a reality show?
I thought it was reality, and so like I would just watch and think, oh man, that would be really cool to do that kind of stuff. And you would just, because watching like more adult type movies, you would just hear my parents in the background whenever someone would curse or something like that say we don't say that. And that's the
Your
only thing
parents were a lot more forgiving than my parents during
and
that time.
or during like things like risque things, they would just cover our eyes.
I went into this because like Aladdin's one of my favorite animated films of all time.
Yes.
Like of all time. But I wasn't as like defensive about it just like, oh, nostalgic. I'm just not gonna like the newer one for reasons that are.
That's good. That's fair.
You gave it a shot.
Give it a shot.
I gave it what is that called?
The old college try.
I gave it the old college try.
Well, razzle dazzle.
And I couldn't help but feel that the film, like, well, I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, did we talk about our feelings yet?
He saw the second one first.
Did you, Benji?
No, we
Benji,
definitely
did
had
you
all
see
three.
the second Aladdin before you saw the first Aladdin?
I don't think so. I was young enough that if I did, I wouldn't remember. But we definitely had all three growing up because they were my older brother's favorite.
The
I'm
entire.
pretty sure they were his favorite. Yeah, like all of them. They were there. Like I watched them. They weren't my favorite though. Like I liked them. I enjoyed the movies, but
So you weren't. It wasn't like it wasn't as sacred to you as it was for like say Chris and I.
not so much. I was the Little Mermaid guy.
And they still haven't made your movie yet. So
I'm fine with
you're.
that.
Oh, you don't want a live action?
No,
Little Mermaid?
I really do. But I heard they were gonna do like Chloe Grace Moretz at one point, and I was like,
I couldn't.
I
couldn't
don't
see
feel
that.
it. But you know what?
Who
I'm
do
gonna
you
be.
feel? Okay, wait.
I trust
Side note.
Ariana
Ariana
Grande. But I trust
Okay.
Disney implicitly. I'm waiting for them to take over the world. 2020.
So for me, Aladdin is not only one of my favorite animated films of all time, just because it's good, but I actually have I remember once I was a kid, I couldn't go to sleep because I was hyperactive or whatever. I walked out into the living room. My dad was out just studying, reading the Word, whatever he was doing, and you could tell I wasn't going to sleep, so he was just like, oh, he invited me to sit on his lap, and then he read and kind of just I sat there for about maybe 30 minutes, and he was just reading, and then he finishes, puts the book away, looks at me, and is just like, do you want to watch a movie? And I was just like, oh my God, oh my God, is the Pope Catholic?
Because you were a little kid at this point.
Yeah,
you
I
were
was a
way
little kid.
past your bedtime. This is like dads right here. Like,
This-
whenever your
Moms
dad's
would be like, what
yeah,
the hell are you doing?
back into bed, but dad's like, let's watch a movie. You're up, I'm up. Like
My
who
dad
cares?
whipped out the Aladdin VHS. And I don't think I've ever laughed harder in my life. Which, like, at least at that age, I remember that was the funniest thing I could have ever seen. Like,
Was that the first time you'd seen it?
I actually don't know. I can't remember.
It was probably your favorite time that you watched it.
Yeah, I legit
Actually,
could
yeah.
not tell you if that was the first time or the second time or third time I watched it. I just remember it felt like new. I remember that when we watched that opening scene from the get-go, I was just like crying laughing with the
Yeah.
close, a little too close. I was just,
Really? That's so funny.
and
Yeah.
I explicitly remember that moment. And then we watched it. It was over. And then once it was all done, we went out into the front porch, laid out on the driveway, and in California, in Silmar, watched the shooting stars.
Interesting.
That's
I've
amazing.
literally never heard this story.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
It's almost
Same,
like you
never.
had a whole childhood that I don't know nothing about.
Yeah, well, that's kind of usually how it works. But I didn't want to bring that into the new film. Like, I actually was very optimistic about the remake.
I was super excited. Like I wasn't excited right off the bat because I was like, oh, cool, they're doing Aladdin, I'll watch it. But then like when I saw like more of the clips, I was like, oh, that's gonna be really cool. Like I'm excited.
Yeah, it definitely got me. Like when I saw the first trailer,
For the first trailer, actually, I wasn't very enthused about it. Like, it just kind of like seemed eh. But then the second trailer, I was like, oh.
the first
okay.
trailer, if I remember correctly, didn't even show the genie.
No, it was just Aladdin reaching for the lamp, and that was it.
And then everybody lost their crap when the genie showed the first time, and I was like, y'all, it's Will Smith blue. Like he's gonna look weird. Like I'm sorry. Like calm
Anybody's
down.
gonna look weird. But the thing is, like, people were expecting like a carbon copy of it, which I never expect a carbon copy when it comes to like the live action remakes. Even when it's something like Beauty and the Beast was pretty much very close to the original.
I
like,
was totally
film.
fine with that. I know
No,
some
I
people
was
that were
too.
like annoyed about the fact that it was a carbon copy, and I was like, no, that's what I wanted. I wanted to see the exact same movie with people. That's it.
Yeah,
So,
but I
yeah.
liked how in this one they did change it up ever so slightly.
Well, they needed to, and I think that's
Oh, yeah.
like because when we were rewatching it, and just like
it's a fast movie.
it's a very fast movie, and when we were rewatching it, and I was
Aladdin
like doing
just kind of like he
Does
gets
his
the
thing.
lamp, does his thing, and then the movie's over.
it's a callback. Christopher, did you not?
I actually got that. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, he keeps up with us.
I
Okay.
keep up with the Kardashians.
So
Because I do.
Yep, he does.
So yeah,
in preparing for this, I love Aladdin, obviously. It's one of my favorite movies. I have a great memory with it, but I do understand, like, looking back on it now, post 9/11, post kind of like how we've demonized a lot of cultures, even though Agrabah is not
Yeah.
an actual place, it represents a bunch of Middle Eastern people, and kind of in a lot of ways, like, there's a lot of things that, I mean, even, okay, so something I wrote down, Roger Ebert, he loved the movie. So that was Roger Ebert from like Two Thumb. Like,
from Ebert and Rupert.
yeah, sure. So he liked it, but he said he criticized it when he saw the film's use of ethnic stereotypes, writing, most of the Arab characters have exaggerated facial characteristics, hooked nose, glowering brows, thick lips, but Aladdin and the princess, of course, look like white American teenagers.
Yeah, in I noticed watching the film that they were very much lighter than everyone, but in the end, after spoiler alert, they defeat Jafar.
Spoiler alert.
In case you haven't seen this 20-something years later.
But that they all now looked a lot darker
And browner.
And browner, yeah, they looked like they had tanned a lot throughout
They just-
the last 5 minutes of the film.
Hey, it is.
There's
It is
a lot of fire.
Did you know, like, okay, side note, did you know that the original lyric at the beginning, instead of where it's hot and intense and the heat is immense,
It's barbaric, but hey, it's home.
was originally where they cut off your ear if they don't like your face. It's barbaric, but hey, it's home.
Yeah, I had an Aladdin cassette tape. That's what they said. Yeah,
I had never heard of this.
Yeah, I hadn't either. I did not know that existed.
I totally I realized because I learned the song from that cassette tape.
Yeah.
And then when I went back years later to watch the movie, I was singing it with him, and I was like, "Well, they cut off your ear if they." And I was like, "What are you saying? I'm singing it right."
No, well, that the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee actually protested those lyrics because
Yeah, I can
Duh.
I can understand that.
And it's because it's one of those things where like I love Aladdin, and I think you can watch films, and I think there's certain films you can watch even though they're not the best by today's standards, and you can still appreciate it as
Absolutely.
long as you understand
Where they went
where,
wrong.
where they went wrong. Yeah, I can.
or where we've grown
Yeah.
since then. You know,
We've definitely grown.
So I
This
feel like
2019.
I feel like Aladdin fits in that. I feel like Aladdin, it's not. I mean, it's not Song of the South. It's not.
It is not.
It's
no.
not Uncle Remus singing about how.
Have you ever seen that? No.
No, I don't think
I-
that. I
yeah.
don't think you can. See
I
that.
have
No,
you
can
seen it
I've seen it.
Where?
in Guatemala? Did
Yeah, we
were they
had
just
a
like-
VHS tape
Of course,
in Guatemala.
Oh my god, I've never seen it before.
I mean,
Yeah,
we've
that's
lost
the,
it now, but like,
That's the movie where Zippity Doo Dah is from,
Zippity-doo-dah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's what is that movie about? Really quickly, it's about like a like white kid who like
it's like white kids who
he's
are
the son of like a slave owner and he's having trouble with something, and then
I think he
Uncle
runs,
Remus,
I
the
can't
magical Negro, as that trope refers to it.
Yeah.
No, that's the trope.
That's the
Uncle Remus, the magical Negro, as the trope is.
Yeah.
Just,
is that?
just to save you from having to say
No,
that.
but that's literally that's the term. Is like it's whenever
Yeah,
a
it's-
black person only exists to
help a white person
exhibit wisdom.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, like the wise old black woman.
the wise old black.
That's I was about to say that's like
Literally
the
think of
wise
any
old black
movie,
woman.
and it's almost in every movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Aladdin is not Song of the South. It's not that horrible.
Oh yeah.
However, at least it is something that like when they said they were going to update, I was like, okay, this is actually
Something that could be done.
it could be benefited from an
Yeah.
update.
The newest version just came out in May of 2019. I don't know the date, 19th, 29th?
It was the 24th.
24th.
May 24th of 2019, this newest version of Aladdin came out, live action version.
Oh yeah, it was directed by Guy Ritchie.
It was
Yeah.
directed by Guy Ritchie, and guess who played the genie? None other than Will Smith.
Wait, are
Obviously,
you like?
everybody-
Are the people here going to be like, "Ooh, who played the genie?"
Oh my gosh. I was about to say, obviously everybody knows that. And then the rest of the cast, whose names I don't know yet. So go ahead, Josiah.
Mana Masood, Naomi Scott, and Marwan Kenzari,
Yes.
which are respectively Aladdin, Jasmine, and Jafar.
How did we like the differences? How did we like?
I loved the addition of the dancing, the actual.
I did too.
dancing.
Yeah,
It
I
was
loved
great.
that. That was so
There was
good.
a real Bollywood vibe to the film that
yeah,
like
that was very welcome.
And even though it wasn't my favorite rendition, Will Smith did a really good job of his own version of "Friend Like Me."
Oh yeah, let's quickly. So, what were your favorite? Like, what was the most surprising thing for you? Like seeing
Surprising
the new movie?
or favorite thing?
No, surprising. Like something you didn't expect to either like or maybe something you were just like thrown off. But whatever. Like, what was the most surprising aspect of the 2019 remake?
Should
Oh.
we spoiler alert this one? Because we will be.
All of
Guys-
ours are spoiler alerted.
Yeah, these spoiler.
Well, just for the actual new film, in case you haven't seen it,
Right.
it is different from the original a little bit. Heaven forbid. I don't know actually.
I was surprised and disappointed by how ugly Abu was.
Actually, I can agree with that.
I needed him to be much cuter than he was.
And I was surprised and disappointed that they didn't utilize Iago as
At all.
At all, they didn't. They just had him as a
He was just
creepy
there,
voice.
yeah.
You know.
Well, hey, you guys, I was surprised and delighted by Will Smith. And actually, I don't
Okay,
want to say
yeah.
if I was surprised. I was surprised by how much I like him, but I knew going in, I liked Will Smith as a choice. I thought if you're going to follow up Robin Williams,
needs to be Will Smith.
we actually, so when we finished watching the movie, we went on like at least an hour riff
Oh my gosh.
on who could possibly have replaced Robin Williams. Clearly, Will Smith was one of the better choices. But we did have a few.
We had a few good options.
do we want to tell them now, or do we want to save that for
We'll
the end of the
save
episode?
it. We'll save it. Overall, what were your feelings for the movies?
Oh,
the movie.
Overall, like very excited about it. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was great.
I thought it was fantastic. Like judging by your standard of how you rate things
Deja
of the
vu.
overall experience, not just the piece by piece, because obviously there were pieces that didn't fit as well as the original or that like
Things that just
were
didn't
different or you
fit,
didn't
yeah.
enjoy. But overall, the movie I thoroughly enjoyed. It made me happy. There was
made me
bright
happy,
colors and
yes.
a lot of movement. There was singing. The cast was very attractive.
And I think they did a lot of things correct in it. I loved
Yeah.
Jasmine. I loved Naomi Scott. I thought that she was a very strong actress. I know.
Awesome.
I mean, she was beautiful too, like
Gorgeous.
And she actually
gorgeous.
did a really good job with her song.
Yeah, her
was really
song.
good.
Made
I'm
the
not sure
movie.
about how I felt in the placement of the song, but it was.
It was placed perfectly. It was a perfect song. It made
Why
the
did she
movie.
have to sing it to herself? Why
Who
could-
is she gonna sing it to?
to the people who are oppressing her?
She's singing it to herself to remind herself that
Because
she
she's
won't
trapped
be
in the
speechless.
palace.
I get it. I'm just saying.
And then it wasn't necessarily, the song wasn't for them. The action was for them. The song was to let us know. She's like, nah, not today, bitch. And then she turns
Not
around and she
today.
goes, boom, and she used her voice.
it
That was
felt
the
like such a
whole
like.
moment.
See, the thing about music, like the thing about musicals that when it works is that the music. It's not halting the film.
It drives the storyline.
It drives the story, and that was a case where it was like it would have driven the storyline had it been happening like actually in the moment.
But
if she
that-
was like singing to them and then they were shutting up, you would it was suspended disbelief because like hey, did this girl just break out into song at us? But
And
Y'all-
everyone just disappeared.
Y'all were ridiculous. Like, I wasn't sitting next to you, but Josiah the whole time was like, yeah, that could happen. Wow, what's happening? Why did they just disappear? And I was like, it's a dream sequence. Like,
I
get
literally
with it.
looked at Josiah and was like, dude, it's not. It's in
I'm
her
just
mind.
saying,
Not
but
happening.
I'm not saying like I just.
But you have to find that balance between songs that move the story and that are actually happening between people and songs
Right.
that are more of a soliloquy, because those are very important
I
too.
felt but.
That was the moment for her.
It
when
was a
she
good
was like,
song. It was well written. It was well performed, and it just was ill placed. Like
In my-
you
no,
were
no.
ill-placed.
But in my mind, that song was more. It was less of her breaking out and more convincing herself that she had the power to do it the whole
I
time.
get it. No, I.
It was not for them.
This
It
wasn't
was
'cause
for
the song,
her.
like the lyrics aren't it wasn't like you, it was they. It was like when they try to suffocate me, like I won't be silent. It wasn't when you try to well, she does say that a few
She
times,
does say
but
it a few times,
isn't
but-
like it isn't a direct at somebody. It's a
But when-
general, not just this situation. It's for everything.
It was for her whole life. She's
I-
been downed.
Get it. And this might just be my predestined like dislike of musicals, just period. But
Well, it's a good thing you're watching a Disney movie. I think this podcast episode is over. I'm done.
you're done. Okay, all right. Well, I liked her. I liked the music. I liked Will Smith. However, ultimately, Aladdin. The thing I was noticing when I left I noticed it immediately once the film started. The original Aladdin, unlike Beauty and the Beast, unlike Beauty and the Beast, unlike Lion King or Little Mermaid, they're all kind of animated at almost the way that you would shoot a film. Yes, there's fantastic elements,
Yeah.
but the films themselves are paced like a feature film, whereas Aladdin has a lot of dramatic moments, like has a lot of great, like there's a depth and a scale to that's really awesome. But the characters are a little bit more heightened than most of the other Disney characters. So it was like a stark contrast when I was watching the opening musical number when he's running through Agrabah.
Yeah.
And he's like, in the animated version, it's so lively, so energetic, so much fun. And in this one, it was like they were trying to keep up with it, and it was so glaringly obvious that it wasn't animated.
Yeah.
And it literally, like, it kind of threw me out of it. Whereas, like, you have Miss Potts singing Beauty and the
Yeah.
Tales
Beast.
all this time.
Beauty
Tales
and the
all this time. That there's a very like a lot of those songs
Yeah.
are like even like Be Our Guest, like
Oh, yeah.
as is more of a classical Broadway type.
Oh yeah,
song.
it's very very much like that. Yeah.
So when you have someone reenacting it or CGI creatures reenacting it, it essentially can match the
works,
same.
yeah.
But like there was literally a moment where they ramp up the speed at
Yeah,
the beginning.
I noticed that.
And like
they
Aladdin,
slowed him. They slowed him down. And
He
he's
literally looks like the Tramp, like Charlie Chaplin, just like
But
wobbling
they,
up.
they also speed him up too. No, I agree with that. I remember like because it just wasn't hitting for me when I was watching it. I was like, oh, I was like, it's interesting, it's fun to watch, but it's not that scene at all, like from the cartoon.
No.
And I kind of couldn't. I couldn't put my finger on why. And then afterwards, when you were explaining that,
Yeah.
you were like, well, it's because Aladdin is way more cartoony than like Beauty and the Beast and like the other movies that are made like human like, whereas like Aladdin is literally like cutting like quarter-second flips at points in the
Yeah.
song that you're like, that's literally impossible to make anything human do.
Right.
So it's like the
And if you did it was like an
just
uphill
doesn't
battle. If they had
translate.
done it, it would have been like,
yeah, it would have been like, what the heck? Aladdin in that aspect is hard to translate because it is more cartoony.
yeah.
And the one thing I I didn't quite enjoy is that I walked out of the theater not much caring for Aladdin much. It was more the side characters.
I feel like this movie should have been called Jasmine.
Yes, or
like how
or
they did
Genie.
Maleficent.
That would have
Like,
been interesting.
That would have been interesting to do, like,
because then you could have done your whole other like.
Yeah.
You could have made a lot different choices, and it would have been like, yeah, well, this isn't Aladdin.
It's Jasmine.
It's Jasmine.
Which in this one, they did focus more on Jasmine a little bit more than Aladdin.
Her story was actually very interesting.
Yeah,
story
her
was awesome.
Yeah, they worked that into the movie very well. The song for Josiah, not so much, but
Good song.
It was a good song. It was great. But I feel like they took the Aladdin out of the Aladdin and made it more the side characters. Even Jafar, you felt more emotion towards.
I didn't.
But I mean,
didn't.
Do you get what I mean?
I get what you mean because like I liked what they were trying to do with Jafar. I don't think it landed, but I love the idea. Like when they first announced that he was young Jafar, I just honestly thought it was like just a choice, just to be like, oh, we just want it. What I liked about it though was how they kind of played them as almost equals in a sense.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I know a lot of people complained that he wasn't doing the old man disguise, but I did like the moment where it was like he's talking with him, having this moment like. We're same. They kind of recall that later when he's in the street and steals from him, but I just feel like it wasn't enough. Like,
oh yeah, they definitely could have worked a little bit more of that into the film. I think, in my opinion, I felt that the Jafar in the animated movie seemed smarter than the live action or not smarter, but the way that they went about him getting tricked into wishing to be a genie.
yeah, there was
very
I
forced.
was very, like, when I saw that, I was like, I feel like a normal person wouldn't have gotten tricked by that. Like, the one in Aladdin, the cartoon, like, that would have got somebody.
Well, it gets the genie too, and even in the live action film, Genie's like in on it, whereas in the animated
and this one
film,
he
it's
didn't
like,
know until the last second. Yeah,
there's just something about rewatching the animated film. There was a weight to everything, like.
Yeah, it's about the music too. The score of it just builds up, and it's just a great score.
That score to when he's like reaching for the lamp and Abu is reaching for the diamond is just it builds to such a perfect. Like,
I think I gotta watch it again to make sure that there's like even scores because I'm sure they have a crazy score on the real movie too. But speaking of like a lot of things like not having weight, one of the things that I did notice in the beginning too is how. Since we like the scene with the marketplace where like they're like Jasmine's getting in trouble for giving the kids food or whatever.
Oh yeah,
there was kind of no weight to that either. Like I didn't feel like in the cartoon it's very much like like Jasmine's about to get her hand cut off. I just felt like he kind of not that he had no reason to jump in, but he kind of jumped in off of nothing because like in the cartoon he like saw her and he was like, oh wow, she's amazing. And then she almost got her hand cut off for being a good person, and he saw all of that.
Right.
Whereas, like in this one, he kind of turned around, and some random chick was about to get thrown in jail. Like
that's true. Did he not? He didn't see her.
He did not see her. No.
So it was kind of like he didn't really see her before. He just, which is like, okay, he's a good person. He wants to go help people. Like that's fine.
Here's my thing about.
I just didn't feel the weight.
Here's my thing about the Aladdin remake that bothers me. I know a lot of people they say they like it, which is okay. I don't think it would work at all had you not seen the original film because it follows the same beats but it has none of the weight or even the knowledge, and this is something I have with a lot of films lately where it's like they hit stuff and you don't know why they're hitting things, but it's like when you watch a movie and someone goes, oh, if you read the book, I'm like, no,
I shouldn't have to read the book.
I shouldn't have to read the book. I should be able to like that should be on top of it. That should be a cherry on top.
It's like when it's like, okay, you can read the book for more information or to get further into depth, but you shouldn't have to read the book to understand the story.
And in this case, it's like, and I don't think people are aware of it because it's like it's different between watching a movie knowing it's been adapted, but like there's so many parts where it's just like the only weight that you're giving this film is carried over from what you remember from the original film.
It's pure like nostalgia building.
I would be interested to, I mean, this is impossible, but I'd be interested to be able to see this without having seen the original, because maybe without anything to compare it to, it would have weight, you know?
Maybe. But okay, like case in point, fast forward to the whole Sultan thing. Like in the animated film, in the animated film, he literally grabs the palace and the
Lifts
mood
it
is
up on top.
super dark. Like
Yeah.
everything is like dreary, like just like lightning.
Great.
Yeah.
And he like puts, and you can see this weight, which I mean, you saw it kind of on
Yeah,
Will
because he
Smith's
was
Genie.
very different.
He was distraught, but
Yeah.
there was something about like the way they animated Will.
Yeah, where he was like huge and he was like completely
Huge, but
shaped
like there was like
different, and
a
he was-
huge like this weight on him. There's like an eeriness to it. Obviously he like he has the same costume change, but there's like a depth to it, and he's like gets really angry about like, if you will not cower before me.
Yeah.
Or if you won't kneel before me, you'll cower before me as a sorcerer. And in the movie, it literally hits those like, oh, we have to hit it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was so forced in the live action where it's like, oh, we forgot to put this in.
Oh, right. Oh, Jasmine, I guess you'll marry me. Why?
They had never mentioned that in the
I
live
mean,
action.
did you see her?
I mean, yeah.
But yeah, they definitely. Even that was one of the moments where they were just like, Jasmine, you will marry me, and I went, really?
But like, why?
I mean, yeah, she is attractive, and you're attractive, and things will happen. But like, he like literally showed no interest in her, and it, like as a story
he was
arc.
playing it cool.
Okay.
You know, like when you like somebody, but you throw rocks at him instead of being nice to him.
Yeah, like when I like somebody,
Try
and
this
then
rock as hard as I can.
I take a genie and I force them to get someone to marry me.
Yeah.
Did he even do that to the genie, saying,
No, he didn't.
No, there was no.
He was sultan, so he could just make her do it. So we hit what things didn't work for us. Now let's talk about what it did right. It did
I liked
there
Jasmine.
was a lot of stuff that was right. I mean, yeah, there was like great dancing. I loved Raja. I love what they did with Raja being able to see through Aladdin. Like I liked
that was so cute.
I liked that connection, whereas like before Raja,
Yeah.
like in the original, it didn't. But it was
Yeah.
another thing that was like that final nail in the coffin where she was like, because at first she kind of thought like she was like, "Do I know you?" And then when Raja walked up and licked him, she was like, "That's that motherfucker." I was like, "That's that bitch. I know him." And like,
Is that exactly?
a direct quote? But like, yeah, I feel like also the relationship between them as Prince Ali and Princess Jasmine was handled. It was very similar, but I just maybe it was just the way that she acted it. But I feel like it was better because she still like. In the cartoon, she like believed him after she was like, "Hey, you're Aladdin," and he was like, "What? No," and she was like, "Oh, okay," and she believed it. Whereas like, but in this one, she was kind of like, right, like she's still kind of like taking it with a grain of
there was a
salt.
question
There was
there,
still
yeah.
that doubt, but it was still like to the point where we knew as an audience, like she loves him though, regardless of which way it goes.
Yes,
she loves him.
100%.
Well, and I really loved that.
The things I thought that this movie did exceedingly well was when they weren't doing the original cartoon.
Absolutely. And I thought that
yeah.
actually going out of it, that the cartoon, the songs from the movie almost felt forced in, or the points from the movie, from the original almost felt forced in. Like, oh, we have to do this, but this is really where we want the story to go.
Right.
And anytime it was doing its own thing, it was awesome.
Dude, that whole like what felt like a 20-minute sequence where like Prince Ali was just fumbling in front of the Sultan.
So
Oh,
funny.
man, it's so great.
I was laughing
So
so.
great.
What does he
Yes.
say at the end? Like, in 10,000 years, I have never been that embarrassed.
Gosh. And then he was like, that lamp
I would
was
rather be in the lamp.
cold, dark, and cramped, and I would rather be there right now.
It was so like
so funny.
With the decision to make Genie just a magical version of Hitch, like, and have
Yes.
Aladdin be Kevin James, like, how are you going to try and possibly fill Robin Williams' shoes?
And then having the handmaiden in
I
as well. That was
Nassim?
fantastic. Yes.
I love her character. Well, I love that actress first off, and then like
great.
I just loved, I loved the relationship between like I love that the genie got to not only
Bone.
be human, but he got to find someone.
He got to pork.
Gross.
I love how at the end though it was like I'm free. Then he turns to her and she's like I want kids, and I was like you ain't free, brother.
You ain't never gonna be free again.
you exited one lamp and went into right another.
But yeah,
But I think he's okay.
He's okay with that. There was no one
Yeah.
to share that.
There's another tight space he'd like to go into.
wow, that one
was,
not for the children.
I was so
cut that
clever.
out.
No, I was like, that is so clever. I'm going to debate whether or not I'm cutting that out. But
He'll keep it in. What else did it do right? I loved that they didn't go verbatim on the costumes. I love that they,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
the brightness of the costumes
the
really
yeah,
fit.
Jasmine's costumes were great, or her
And hers
clothes
were less
great.
scandalous.
Yeah.
Which makes more sense because in the cartoon, Jasmine's literally dressed like the prostitutes that Aladdin crashes
you guys
into.
have kind of ruined it for me. Like after you mentioned that it should have been called Jasmine and like been its own like Maleficent type thing, I'm now like seeing the movie as that like because then they could have taken way more liberties and we would have been like, oh, I'm okay with this.
It's
like,
a different movie.
It's a different like, and honestly, I think that was. If I had to pinpoint like my favorite part, it was that's a much stronger story, not just in terms of what it does as a role model for women, but just in terms of like the story itself, to have a character who is literally kept from doing what she could do so well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just because she's a woman.
Yeah.
I always thought the character of Jasmine, even for the time, was
absolutely
stronger than most.
She was.
Yes, it does end with her like it's ultimately just about marriage, but like it's about her choosing.
Yeah.
She and like
exactly.
Her entire agency throughout the film was like, and she actually does a few things in like the original one. Like she makes decisions. She weaponizes her own sexuality to like at least distract the villain.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, me, my sister, like if there was any other, if we were ever in a group and it was like, oh, we're gonna be like, you know, characters from Disney, like I automatically was handed Aladdin, and my sister was like, you're either Pocahontas or Jasmine.
It reminds me of all the time when we were trying to pick out our Halloween costumes.
For the longest time, you didn't even have like Black Prince. Like you had maybe the Princess and the Frog, but he's green most of the film. Like
I was super disappointed by that. Two things. I was disappointed that the first Black Disney princess movie, they spend the entire movie being frogs.
Right.
I was like, fuck me, right? And then second, the girls got a Disney princess who is black, but we got a Latin Disney prince. He was not black.
Oh, wait,
he was
wasn't?
Latin.
Yeah,
He's Spanish.
Latin. Yeah, Spanish.
Oh.
So, still waiting, Disney.
I didn't even think about the fact that he was a Hispanic prince.
Yeah.
It's literally.
I was very disappointed.
Well, that is. But it's only. It feels like it's only disappointing because there's nothing else.
Yeah.
It literally warms my heart going out on Halloween night and seeing kids who can dress up as the Black Panther or seeing kids who dress up as Rey after like girl like although the Star Wars film has actually
like
always
Moana
had
well, we had Mulan, we did, and
we did, but that's it. And it was like
Yeah.
if you were Asian of any type, they were like, oh, you automatically want to be Mulan. It's like, well, you know, maybe I want to be someone else. Like,
yeah.
you know, but now as there are options, you know, hopefully growing, and even if it's forced, even if they like begrudgingly doing it, it's better than nothing. So yeah, you can force diversity casting and hate it the entire way, but you know what? At least it opens up.
Yeah, if it gets done,
It does open up the doors.
Opens doors for the future.
And I know it's frustrating because that's the thing. Like we have to all like I've had to take into account. There's sometimes I watch films. Did I think that it was the most natural thing to have all the female Avengers somehow just be together at one point? No, it definitely came to a grinding halt at that moment. However, it's necessary. I love it.
It needed to happen.
It needed to happen. And it's like it's one of those things where it's like I don't normally believe in like the ends justify the means, but when it comes to like filmmaking, like
sometimes
if you have to make decisions that might not be the best for the film at the time, but you know ultimately it's going to pay off for like kids and minorities or people who have not been given that opportunity, it's better than nothing. Yeah. And it's a movie.
Let's back on up to the best part of the movie, Jasmine's song. Now,
oh God,
I just want to say that made the movie for me.
It was great.
I am all about a great song. I'm all about a strong, powerful woman who don't need no man.
You know,
just
you know what? To eat my own words and learn from my own thing. Like, if you have to make a decision that might not be the best for the movie at the time, but is ultimately the best for people out there, I will agree with you.
Yeah.
I love the song. Don't think it was placed properly.
I think it was placed great because she does a little bridge in the first part of the movie at one point that's just like a clip of the song. And I was like, oh no, don't sing the song here. This isn't the time.
Now, baby.
Because it was earlier. Yeah, literally. You were sitting next to me. Did you hear me?
No.
Like in the theater, I go, when they were like dragging her away, I go, sing about it. Like, I go, tell me how you feel. Sing about it. Because I was like, this is the time. Like, I remember, I just like, it's the 2019 Let It Go. Like,
yeah, and it's necessary. Whether or not I thought it was properly placed doesn't matter because
you're wrong.
Because there's going to be 12, 13, 14, 9-year-old girls, whatever. They're going to be out there singing that. And for them, they don't know whether it's patronizing or not. They don't know whether a studio forced it in because
because it needed.
They were like,
needed
people are gonna hate us if we don't. Like, it doesn't matter to them.
Yeah.
For them, they just hear it, they sing it, they love
have it. Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing is like people go like, well, shouldn't you? Literally the most important thing. It's not about saying anyone was better. It's not about saying anyone is worse. It's just about saying you exist.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's literally all that people really want sometimes from movies. It's like, I exist. I'm represented. That's it.
You are not an object.
I think this Jasmine was literally just the 2019 version of the 92 Jasmine. Like, I think that's literally all it was.
Right. It wasn't like they completely overhauled
It wasn't.
her.
It wasn't a new character. It wasn't an overhaul. It was just the same Jasmine put in a different time.
Right. So as we wrap it up, any final thoughts on just your experience watching the original film versus your experience with this present day film?
Now, my experience watching the original film is very much built on nostalgia, I'd say, but I still thoroughly enjoy it after watching it for the millionth time.
Yeah.
And I still feel the weight, I still feel the magic and the majesty from the first film. But the new one had a certain edginess to it, a certain like pop to it that was different from the original. But that was needed for this because like the original is like he said earlier is cartoony. It's more cartoony than the other like Disney like full length animated films, but like they did what they could in this film and like adding all the dances and the newer songs and everything, and I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. And like, yes, it's not perfect. It has its ups and downs.
The original is a good film, period.
Yes.
This one is a good film because of what it gives kids.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think it's actually a well done film? There's things I love about it, which kind of made me more angry.
Yeah.
Dude, I love the end, like the Prince Ali song, the whole like, we're waiting for you.
Yeah.
And then when they did the whole like, that lean with it, I loved that. I don't know why, but for some reason I was like, that was so cool.
Yeah.
Like anytime they did their own, they carved their own path, that was when I loved the film.
Yeah. Growing up, Aladdin wasn't my favorite movie, and I think now thinking about it, it's because I've always preferred movies with female leads. So
Is that true?
yeah.
So wait, what were your favorites growing up?
Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid.
Right, I know. And
Little Mermaid. I watched a lot of Sailor Moon, Xena.
I loved Xena growing up.
Yeah.
That's great.
Xena, the
Warrior Princess.
Warrior Princess, yeah.
wait, who was the space one?
That's
Space?
no, he's thinking of
The Disney Channel original movie.
Xenon.
What did you say?
Xena.
Well, that's
The war-
confusing.
she was on
Oh,
like,
Xena
on
the war.
TV.
Oh, that's the Hercules one,
yeah,
right?
the Hercules
Okay,
one,
okay.
yes.
But anyways, yeah, so I think that was probably why Aladdin was never like one of my top favorites. I just enjoyed watching it. And then fast forward to this one, I think with Jasmine having more of a like strong leading role in
Urgency,
it made it more enjoyable for me probably.
All right, so we said our final thoughts. We kind of talked about how it culturally hits.
Did you want to talk about the genies now?
No, we talked.
Like just like
Genies?
who could play the genie. You said
Oh, right. We did promise the audience that we would give
through
our
picks.
top picks for Genie if
For
it wasn't
Genie.
going to be Will Smith. My original top pick was not something that I came up with on my own. I heard it on another podcast. But when I mentioned it, the three of us just went off. And that was of Billy Eichner, who is like just...
I'm gonna go back to the lamp for a whole hour.
I'm going back for a whole hour.
I'm gonna take a nap for 45 minutes.
If you
No,
know...
an hour.
And if you know who Billy Eichner is, he's been on the show Friends from College. He's going to be playing Timon in the upcoming Lion King film.
Excited
Is he
for-
really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he is.
he's
I mean,
obviously
gosh.
Billy on the street. He's angry. He's vivacious.
He's
He's
loud.
Fun. He would be.
And it's like he's loud and angry, but he's not mean.
He's not, yeah.
That's why it's like that's what's like.
Excuse me, Aladdin. Who even are you?
That's what's so endearing about him is that it's just like he's just no bullshit. Like he's gonna say whatever's on his mind and he's gonna yell it.
I would I would pay so much money to go to an alternate universe and watch that film.
Oh, absolutely.
Same.
And
So then next pick, the first thing that popped into my head because it was from a previous conversation that we'll probably hit later, but was immediately Kevin Hart.
of course.
Yes.
Oh shit.
Oh, shit. You want to make a wish on me?
Then Chris, who did we settle on as the
So
it was an ensemble.
Who was another one though? Because
Okay.
did we have another one?
I thought of Kim Jong.
Oh, Ken Jeong.
Ken Jeong, yes. You wanna wish on me?
You want to wish on me?
Again, I just love that we're so trained to just laugh at him when he hasn't done
He
anything.
hasn't done anything. But
Can
in
you
our mind,
imagine? Can you imagine if they didn't tell us who the genie was?
Oh,
Aladdin rubbed the
my
lamp,
God.
and it cut, and the genie flogs out, and then all of a sudden you just see
Ken Jeong, the audience would lose it.
man.
the audience would die, and he wouldn't have to say anything. Oh my
Yes.
gosh! It'd be
Wow, why
so
do all of these
funny.
versions of Aladdin just sound so much more appealing?
I would love to see it.
But the final one that we settled on was not one, not two, but the entire cast of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh my
Just
god!
imagine the lamp lights up and the smoke
all
clears.
5 of them.
God damn it, Dennis.
Dennis, hold on. I got this.
I got this. I'm the trash man. I'll get you your wishes, but first, where are my whores?
Well, here's the thing: is I think he has to wish for the horse. Like, I don't think they're just gonna be here. I think
I can't even think of how Dennis would react.
Dennis
but
would just be like, he would be like, okay.
clearly,
here's the thing.
I'm the most smart one here.
You have to ask me because I'm the only one that's worth talking to. Okay,
only one worth talking to.
Look, here's what's gonna happen. Okay, I'm not gonna call you master. Okay, you just need to wish us free, and then we will figure out a way to help you with the rest of it.
Yeah. No, Dennis, you gotta smooth talk him, Dennis.
Well, no, shut up. Just shut up.
Bird.
I wish for you to call her a bird. Yeah, no, that was when we were saying that when we were talking about it in the car.
Dying
it was
laughing.
so funny, and we were just going
trash man.
for so long
trash.
with all of their dialogues, and we were like, this absolutely is what needs to happen. And
It needs
I
to be an
just,
SNL skit or something.
Yeah,
God.
yeah,
Just
or like,
them replacing any character from any movie.
yeah, just one single character, but replaced by the
All 5 of them.
5 of them. Like, it would be
I'd
so
watch
funny.
it.
I'd watch it.
I'd
Anyways,
watch it. Your children would watch it too, and they'd love it. So
no, they wouldn't.
So we've reached the end. What's our moral for the end of the day, Benji?
At the end of the day, really just make sure that all of your movies have an incredibly attractive princess who likes to sing amazing songs and not be told what to do.
Well, that's good.
Let it go, man.
So we really appreciate you guys for listening and tuning in for a second week. We have a lot of fun surprises for you in the future. We're already talking into future guests and future subjects that I think will really kind of dive into some fun aspects of pop culture, a lot of things that we want to remember and kind of take you guys on a journey. If you like what you hear, please remember to follow us on YouTube,
And
Instagram.
If you like what you see, turn off the TV and do it. Do you know what that's from?
No, what is that from?
It's from Zoom, the intro for Zoom.
You're just like
Little pop culture. Anyways, if you like and you enjoy what you're hearing, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube. All of our media handles, our social media handles are at Pink Popcast.
That's pop with a P.
Pop with a P, and just make sure you're following all of those to catch if we end up doing Q&As on Twitter, or all of our pictures that
or
we
as
post on
Benji
Instagram.
always likes to say, leave us we will read the worst and the best comment that we have on.
Exactly. Leave us comments because
on the Apple Podcast.
We want to start reading the worst and the best. And make sure, because it will help us out a whole lot, is to give us a rating and a review on iTunes.
And you can also follow us individually. I'm at Josiah J. Rizzo on Instagram.
I'm Chris_ is who I be. Sorry, I forgot about it. I'm Chris_ is who I be.
Yeah.
And I am at Binge Watch, which BNJ Watch.
Yeah.
So not binge. Like
So you
binge.
can always follow us individually, but we do appreciate you guys following us as the Pink Popcast.
I'm just a guest.
Yeah, well,
We enjoyed having our guest.
we have enjoyed having our guests. There'll be more in the future, and we look forward to having fun with you guys. So from all of us here,
Okay. We can do it now.
okay,
'cause there's more.
So from all of us here, I'm Josiah Rizzo,
I'm Benji Jones.
I'm Chris Lubeck.
and on Wednesdays we wear pink. Play us out, future Josiah.